So you were playing black, he was playing white. All right, talk to me about your choice of opening. What were you going for?
Whenever I have two facing Komokus, I like to just close them both if possible.
Okay. And why'd you choose this one first?
Um, well, to be fair, this is what Youngutse taught at the time that he was making the lecture. I know that nowadays this is less than efficient, but that's what he was teaching for the points lovers Fuseki
Who was teaching this in Salem?
in Sion from
That's
the Youngutse League.
yes, pretty normal. I think historically, when you have these two Komoku points,
Hmm.
the prevailing theory through most of the mid 1900s was that if you enclosed and white took the extension away, it was okay for white.
Oh, okay.
Nowadays, you don't see this move at one too much. In AI meta, we don't really consider extending to the side in this type of empty fashion to be very efficient.
Hmm.
It's not so good for territory, and while it can switch to making useful influence, it's also possible that the stone that you play on the right side here can also be turned off in like strategic sense and become not a useful stone.
Hmm.
So I think nowadays the more common approach is just to do this immediately as white, and then make it some extension to the right side, this or maybe this one or here.
I see.
And so this would be sort of common refutation, and then ask yourself if you're really comfortable with the placement of A.
Yeah, no, because the point of playing A is to develop on the right side, and white can looks like it can take
Mm.
it away very easily.
Yeah, literally with the next move, right? So you give white sort of the open invitation to do that. So I think maybe in this case you could consider doing it either way. Both are fine.
Mm.
Just understand that you sort of cede global control to white very early on in exchange for the territory, right? Which is
Hmm.
kind of, I guess, what you're really going for. But that's kind of what I was looking for with the answer here.
I see. Yeah,
Mhm.
I didn't think about white's move in general.
So white approaching this is fine. He's choosing to approach high, which is sort of like the classical approach in this formation, right?
Mm.
Nowadays, if we approach low, we can maybe expect a pincer, or we can expect maybe black will fly to the side. Um, and so he wants to give up the territory to you, and in exchange, he wants a position on the upper side somewhere, maybe here or here. And okay, the game is even. I don't think I can really prefer one side or the other, and black has to make a choice. Does black go for the third corner? Does black approach the unfinished corner? Does black play for the right side?
Mm.
And walk me through your thought process at this point of the game. What's your plan?
Well, my plan, I got two corners. Usually I try and go for three and then just break Moyo. To be honest, I forgot my move already, but I'm pretty sure I play C3. Um, so that was my plan. Gain three corners as
Mhm.
quick as possible, and then work on making it hard for
Okay.
white to make territory.
Okay. So the take and break strategy.
Yeah, yep.
Oh, this is an interesting choice by white, choosing to play O3 versus Q16, or not Q16, but R15. Sure, it's a possible strategy. This leaves black with two fairly good continuations.
Mm.
So, what were your thoughts here when you saw this move? Were you happy?
Yeah, because I can always shoulder hit at N4, so the area on the side doesn't look too threatening right now. And the
Mhm.
right side to me looks very important because both of our walls are facing it. Uh,
Mm.
Now, at this point, I thought I could just play simply and old school, Japanese before 2016 style, like with R10, I was thinking. But I
Oh,
thought I should be more aggressive and modern. So I tried Q4, but at,
Q4 is a great move.
yeah, the problem is that I know when white plays Q3, I know how to handle it. But when white
Mm.
plays this, now I'm in lost territory, and I play really poorly here.
Yeah,
Uh,
so this is actually more or less a forced Joseki.
hmm,
And then at this point, white has an option to extend it A or capture it B.
I see.
So if
Uh,
white extends to this point, right, black has this sort of double Hane and then Atari for the ladder.
okay.
So you can see there's like a ladder, right,
Y-
for white.
yeah.
And then white will very often need to come back and either capture from the corner or capture from here.
This looks so good for white to me. Like it looks
No.
like white gets a big corner and gets to break some influence on the right side, right? Or
Yeah.
creates the
And
influence
you've
on the right side.
and you've then you have fallen for the illusion.
I see. Well, I understand Joseki should be even,
um,
but
yeah, don't worry, I'll show you how it's even. And so
yeah,
if he takes a B, it kind of becomes a similar thing. Only difference is here white gets Ente,
okay.
right? And this is like when white for sure wants A, he can play A first. If white's not sure if he wants A, he can capture first and then choose to take it here and go take next. But the reason that this is not so big as it looks is because actually there's an 8-point endgame with black R2 here. Mm.
Oh wow.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so eventually white has to revert the corner into this position
hmm
in the endgame, and this is the only territory white makes.
Yeah, this is not as significant as it was.
Yeah, right? So
Yeah.
the thing that you want to keep in mind is the ladder, because in some cases it's actually good for white to remove the endgame quickly with this Atari M1.
Mm.
And if white can get this Atari for the capture exchange, forcing this as a way to use the ladder, like if there wasn't going to be another useful ladder breaker,
Mm.
then this is where white can get the whole corner. But the difference is now black is thick, and this reduces the value of a move like p6.
Mm. Okay.
So you're really kind of always juggling the value of moves like A, B, or Tanuki, which we'll label C.
Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna
But
have
yeah.
to review this and kind of study it in the morning every day until I get it memorized. But I always do very poorly when Q5 hits, so it was good on him to play it.
Mm. Right. So it's not bad.
hmm
I think another move you could play that's also simple is just Atari Extend.
hmm
And so this one creates kind of an interesting question to white. Do you want to play one or two or not? None.
mm
So white can always like grow center position with this move, right? But this comes at the cost of leaving the bottom side open. So if white doesn't care about building a large bottom side territory, white can do something. Let's say white eventually gets a move around 6. White can do something like this to go for really good central control. If white has a stone on the right side, you can see that direction can become quite effective. If building a center becomes hard, white could always descend down to 2 and use this sort of very, very common wall with this enclosure shape to really build an efficient position on the bottom. Now, if black tries to invade the bottom side anywhere, it's going to be hard to invade anywhere that's close to this box because white is so thick,
hmm
right? So any invasion on the bottom would likely have to come from here or some forcing move against the corner rather than towards the wall. Because if black tries to play something like, let's say, for example, this, then white is immediately attacking black, and the wall becomes useful.
mm
Can attack this, depending on if there's more stones around. Might even have an attack from the sky. So it just depends. But you've also got that option if you're unsure about this one.
mm
Okay,
Yeah.
crosscut. This one is a shape that I think involves a different ladder, but I don't always remember the variations from this crosscut. I almost never play it. I never see it in the wild, so I don't think about it.
mm
Okay, this extension is making sense for Gabe, and then black is going to have to choose what direction black wants. Black could take the right side if black extends. If white Ataris, then black can make this exchange and take the right side with a move like 4.
mhm.
Um, okay, white extended. This is fine too. This one leaves a little bit more Aji. There are going to be some interesting asking points on this stone here and a potential nose hit. So all like potential options depending on what black gets in the area. Okay, you chose to play low. Talk to me about this one.
I didn't like if we shift that stone one step higher. I didn't like
Mhm.
the common weakness, right, of R8.
R8. You're looking at
Yeah,
this one. Oh, I
because
don't think you're going to run into this.
hmm,
You're thinking white's going to play like this.
maybe not this aggressively. Maybe just go up, like after instead of cutting through.
If white goes up something like this, I think black can be happy chasing, building the wall in the center.
Mm,
Whatever you make that goes this way is
yeah,
also reducing white's bottom, right?
Yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
not really looking at the right side for territory. Like the move that I think would be more common from white would actually be this one.
Mm.
Because if you block, white can attach. And this is the more common Suji here for white to use. And Hane Hane. And white can keep building the center this way is much better for white on the bottom.
I
When
don't
white
know.
has follow-ups like A, B, it's quite big for white to go like this.
I don't know this Tetsuji. I actually don't run into this one often, at least at my level. Wait, does this have a name or no? That you know?
If it does, I don't know. But it is
Okay.
a very, very common shape.
Okay.
Obviously, because the main weakness is I'm going to cut you, right? So you can't allow
Yeah.
the cut. And then the
Yes.
attachment, this is just a very common shape in general. This is the actual Tesuji.
I see. And if black comes up, then you can hit a vital point at R10, right? Something like
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yep, pretty much. And then you've got this and then this.
Gotcha. That's
And then
cool.
this is just like an easy way where the right side can get broken with the scorpion. You can also do this one or this one, right? You've got plenty of ways to use this to sort of break the right side if black tries to move towards center. And it
Yeah.
becomes like a mutual destruction, right? Black loses the potential, white loses some potential, but in the exchange, white gains more territory towards the bottom than black gained on the right side. So
And the other variation you picked was R10, right? And then white gets to hit on
yeah,
top
and
with
then
the
white
09.
can
Yeah.
white can hit on top of the 9. In
Nice.
some cases, you'll use the Tesuji to hit in as well, but that's like on a case by case basis.
This
And
is
in
a
some cases, it's also possible to go here.
this is a new tool for my tool set.
Mhm.
But with this Tetsuji, does that mean that Q9 is bad, right? Like,
Not necessarily, but it is one of the normal reasons why black will choose to play Kema instead.
okay. So
So
with
like
this,
in a lot of times, if you study with AI, you might see that this is the blue move.
mhm.
And it might not be the blue move in this particular instance. I don't have any instance of kata or katre up to tell me at the moment. But in a lot of positions, this move at one is the move that retains a lot more control simply because it doesn't give up those forcing moves. And if white wants to try to attack it, then white has to actually go after the base.
So,
And this is going to present a weak white position as well.
mm. So my question, I mean, well, one I want to ask you, was my move better in the game then? But also, if white hits here, what would be your next response? I remember you teaching me this, which I need to review. But
There are
you,
several ones that you could play. You could cap it. You could shoulder hit. You
mm,
could diagonal. You could jump down. You
okay,
could jump out. You
okay,
could knight's move. You could pincer. You
yeah.
could Danuki.
If you
Like
if you remember, one of my default responses was thinking of the kick and then playing R8, right? But then you gave me,
neither
yeah,
of those.
exactly. You gave me some tools, so I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
remember these two. But
Yeah, both
anyway,
both both of those lead to very sort of like I don't necessarily want to say bad shape, but for the position, the shape is not great. It's not very efficient, right?
right.
And sort of the definition of bad shape is shapes that aren't efficient. So I
Mm,
think in this case we can say that kick and extend down might not be the best options. Like if black was thick in the upper right corner and you could generate a lot of power with an attack like this, then maybe you can consider kick to make white heavy. But here white's just simply got too much space. Like white can even make ideal extension and not have any problems here.
gotcha.
Mm.
And you can see with my
Yeah.
limited tools is why I chose the move I did. So that was my question next. What would have been the best move, Q8 or the two space extension I chose?
1 second.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
All
say it
right.
sounded like it cut. I'm always
Yeah,
worried about my internet.
so R9 is locally I can't say it's bad, right? If we compare just the bottom right corner, maybe it's not as efficient because again, white can still play moves like one
Force
or
moves.
here,
Yeah.
right? Maybe
Hmm.
white can go one further or extend or jump in a lot of cases. And if you look at who controls what space in the quadrant, who's got control over more space here?
Hmm.
It's like
That's.
you you got this, right?
Hmm.
And then white got everything marked in circles.
Yeah, I mean, there was no question to me that I messed up this Joseki. I looked up the. I tried to look up the Joseki, and the crosscut's not even
Mhm.
an option. So I already knew that. Like, I felt like Gabe got a lot.
Yeah, but here you can see like the control balance is a little bit different, right?
Mm,
Yeah, because now you've got everything that's sort of like squared, but also your stone exerts some influence outwards as well,
I see. It's just harder to
right?
push down.
Yeah, and then white is basically going to be, well, white got here, right?
Yeah, that makes
And you can
sense.
see it's kind of like already much closer. So this one just leaves a lot of things that Gabe can do to you. This one is not terrible, but not really cohesive with the rest of Gabe's plan. So if Black can find a way to end this in Sente, or end it in Gote but leave White in bad shape and have follow-ups, then Black is going to be doing fine.
Mm,
One way you could answer, for example, is this. And this would be with the intent to break it A on the bottom side.
mm,
So if he wants to defend, he could, for example, jump or like maybe take the extension, and then from that point you can attack. And if he defends the inside position, something like this, then you can push up to fix the shape. If he makes a good shape himself, something like this, then you can break the position and get into the bottom side.
mm. Yeah,
And
this
so
makes
always sort of
sense.
keeping multiple directions. Okay, push. This is the classic resist and then slide. Oh, no
Yeah,
slide.
I knew of the slide, but my ideals were to separate him
Mm.
from the bottom, and
Okay.
so I can exert some
All right.
influence.
So this is Gote and doesn't really have a follow-up. So it's
Mm,
kind of like you're taking a shape that's designed to build an area
mm.
and you're using it purely to reduce.
Yeah.
But it's not as efficient as White's reduction. Also, White can just get ahead of you.
Mm.
Like if White does this, or like let's even say White goes here, what's the plan?
Well, my plan would have been in shambles at that point. Then I would just focus on trying to keep those three stones weak and build the right side. But I don't think that
Mm.
might be a winning plan. So no, my next move would be the S11, I believe, if White was to play something like this.
Yeah. So okay, so he breaks like this. This is fine. I think more common would be just taking away Black's turn or Knight's move. It's a very big move in general.
Mm.
If Black takes away the base, then White can fly, and Black's the one under attack without two eyes here. Also, White has moves like this and this still. They can both threaten the cut. So this one feels a little bit interesting to me. Black has a choice. Black can invite White into the corner and try to get a strong outside position, or block off the corner and force White outside.
Mm.
Okay, you blocked off the corner, connected, and then White took the exchanges and just took Sente to continue building. Push one time, now you take Sente. Walk me through this one.
I thought it was all right, but I realized it becomes very difficult. My main point that I was thinking of was N3 for most of it, but then I just
Yeah.
chose O4.
So why not start here? So the real question would be is with this, you're hoping White goes here and you're going to play this anyway, right?
Yeah, something similar.
But
Yeah.
if you look at this move, right? If White goes here, you don't actually mind this.
Mm-hmm.
Because after Hane jump,
It's
White can't kill you,
yeah, yeah, I know this. This is really
right? Like
nice.
White's not going to be able to actually kill this shape.
Mm-hmm.
Even after this, you can just jump here, like you'll be alive. There's several different ways you can make this position live. So with that in mind, you don't really need to stop White from extending. Extending is not a great move. So this one is not really making sense because you play this first to prevent White from having O4 as a response.
Yeah, I think N3 is much better. It's funny, I mentioned it like twice or three times in my stream, and then I just choose something else. It's something
Yeah.
that my random thoughts change. By the way,
Okay.
Gabe was talking about this a lot. I think O5 was a mistake. Um, I got a great result here, but I think it was because he messed up.
What would you prefer him play?
I think this is yesterday or 2 days ago,
Maybe
but I
this.
thought M3 would have been better.
Oh, the Atari. I see. And then the plan when he extends is, or when his plan when you extend is.
I think he can go on the outside. I don't think he has to be on the inside. I think he can play M2.
Oh, you want this one? Okay. Interesting.
Because he
Is
can't
this
kill
does it
white, right?
work?
Yeah, I don't see a.
It's not about killing. It's about whether or not black can get a better than expected result here.
Hmm. Yeah, for me,
It looks like the best you could get is a squeeze, maybe. But I think even there are many ways he can go about doing this. Yeah. I
yeah.
think his Hane on the outside was very weird, personally speaking. I think he should just go here and then Atari and accept you.
Hmm.
And then maybe extend, and if you play this, then he should just double Hane and rip you in half.
Okay.
Yeah, this is nice for black. I would argue you have a like at least a ko this position.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can even go further than this.
Hmm.
Because if white ever captures, you can make the ko shape, and if white connects, this one's often alive. So you can go here, make white trip on marbles. A lot of different ways you can play this position. This one, the one weakness you have to worry about later is this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're ever in a position where you have to connect, then attach becomes a Tesuji for white. And black's eye space is significantly limited here.
Yeah, it's,
If you look at the actual shape that you have, it's only one eye at best.
yeah.
Mm.
This M2 move's nice. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Bum. Okay, but he attacks this way. This is fine. You choose to just live. Also okay. You can push and get more space.
Mm.
If he extends, you can slide. If he plays in, you can connect. If he cuts, you can squeeze and then go through. You won't die here.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't want to hurt my corner if I didn't have to.
I don't think the corner is going to get hurt. He's got C2 regardless.
Okay.
Nothing you do here makes C2 better.
Mm.
Right? That's when you're looking at that, you have to think, does anything here give my opponent either C2 with Sente against both sides, or like anything makes C2 better, but nothing makes C2 better.
Okay.
You know? If B8 was ever going to become the most severe turn in the history of ever, then you would just push here first before anything else and then continue.
Gotcha.
Oh, I'm not a fan of this move. These are the types of moves that Gabe will make sometimes that if I had to assume why he played it, it was because he thought it was going to have attacking pressure and maybe it builds points with the wall, but none of those are actually really true because this is probably going to be Sente, and
Mm.
then you can always separate or make a life. So it just ends up becoming really slow. Instead of something like that, like this knight's move would be making a lot more sense because who cares about the territory on the bottom if black is not alive yet? Like white needs to be looking to the next big picture, which is the weak black group on the right side. This is sort of like white's advantage in the local area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really wants to keep investing stones here because white is already very thick, very strong. There's not a lot of value to playing in this area for either side. Like once this is reduced, I think adding another stone to A is sort of admitting that this was a mistake. Michael.
I thought it guaranteed my life and still opened a poking on the left there.
Michael.
I see. I see. P2.
Michael.
Pinjas Tanuki.
The next shark you see in the ocean, I want you to jump in and say hi.
Yeah.
If you ever play a move like this again,
Understandable.
you might as well resign. Bow your head, thank your opponent so
Yeah.
graciously for the whooping, and move on. No,
Fair
this is
enough.
too submissive. Too
Mm.
submissive. I would rather see you break from center and try to connect to your weak group than passively hang your head low and give him the chance to make perfect shape.
Mm.
Christmas trees will not save you now. Yeah, again, this just seems to be in line with Gabe is trying to make a territory with his thickness for some reason. Probably because he thinks he's behind on points, and this move is going to be a great way to generate profit in Sente. Maybe, but it doesn't do anything to take care of the weak 5 white stones on the right side. And it's also quite thin itself from its friends. They're all very far away. So I look at a stone like K8, and this is where I would go, okay, cool. I have my target. I know exactly what I'm gonna be going after.
I was thinking that the right side would be my target, so I make a leaning attack now.
Okay. So let's take a look. Okay, leaning against that stone. See, I don't want to play. Well, you could play against that stone and it would be fine. I don't really want to play against it directly in a way where it's going to be beneficial like that. I might start here.
Okay.
You want to sort of have this idea when you're looking for tactics: feint east, go west. In this case, break south, play north. So if he protects the territory, something like this, then you can cut, right? Or you can hane. If he cuts you here, then you have Atari, and you've connected your groups out. Now that you're safe, you can just attack it, right? You can get to the vital point quickly.
Okay.
If white doesn't play from that type of manner and white does something like this, you can hane the other way and then just naturally sort of get around him. Sure, you're separated, but now he's in a position where you're threatening to extend, which is big against the points he's building, and you're threatening to attack him with some move around B or C, right? So you want to try to exploit the weakness in a way where you can get stronger by naturally moving around it. If you just start from the outside, he protects, and then once he defends, what value did you get out of these?
Yeah, I mean, this is similar to what happened. He said
This is what happened.
Yeah. No. I mean, what you're saying is he protects and then he tries to protect himself.
Yeah.
But I felt like this turn was still really big, and he argued that he thinks his Q14 was much better.
Defending the upper right side is fine. I don't know if I would say it's much better. I think in general, you had the problem of you actually want both of these. And they're almost like a Miai. So when you take B, he really should play A. So if he doesn't get back to this move, he needs to get back to that move. Yeah, like right now, like you can just break underneath. And this will be Sente, because if he ignores you, let's just have him ignore. He's not alive yet.
Yeah, I gave my opinion, and he did see he saw my light, but for me, Q14 looks like just it's a one purpose move, where a K10 was like it does
Well,
a
it just
lot.
depends on stone quality, right? So K10, if K10 isn't useful to attack white, then its only real meaning in life is to reduce in the center. But then that would also mean that your move is single purpose. Right?
Yeah.
So turning in the center is powerful when you can use that thickness in a powerful way. But all you're doing is reducing the middle. And he played a very soft move here. He should have gone with this one. Probably he wasn't confident to handle this fight, but if he's not confident to handle this fight, then he shouldn't be playing for this side anyway. In my opinion. You know, and if he can't set that up, then giving up this to black was too big. Then he needed to play Hane. Because this is just sad. This move. This move is tragedy. Big tragedy.
There's a lot of those in this game.
Clearly. Clearly. Okay, he defends towards the center with a knight's move. That's fine. This relationship can be taken advantage of. You have moves like A, B, C inside this position to really work with. That being said, I think as far as it's going, like you took a lot of points up front, but white is still getting chances to sort of come back. Like can catch up. Okay, you're reducing. He's trying to defend it. Now he took another big point. This was actually really huge.
He did say that he thought J2 was way too slow.
J2 is a bit slow. It doesn't really do anything.
I thought if I leave it alone, then he can take Sente at any time with that end game. But if I
Sure,
play
that's
J,
kind of his right.
yeah, but if I play J2, then he has lots of weaknesses that stay there for later.
Sure,
It's
but
like
he's got weakness also.
hmm,
Like, for example, you've got peeps at A, peeps at B, attacking moves around C,
hmm,
cut at D. Like, you've got a lot in the area. You don't have to play here.
okay. So yeah, he was right then. J2 is really slow.
And when he gets to this, I think for sure White's better now.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought he was up by a few
And
points.
this is painful,
So,
especially since this Atari is not technically Sente.
that's true.
Does that work? I don't think that works. It better not work. It's gonna be nasty if that works. Does that work? I'm considering if there's any merit to some A B combination for White.
Hmm.
I think it's a bit of a stretch right now, but it is still something White can look at.
I did think I commented on the thinness of N8.
Mhm. Yeah, here you're breaking the eye space, um, which is good. It's what you're supposed to be doing, but it's also a little soft in terms of like going after the whole White group. White makes a Ko for some reason. Interesting. Did you need this move?
White or me?
You.
Um, I mean, you asking makes me think I don't, but at this point when I counted, I think I still had him up by like 10 points, so it felt good, like expanding my corner a lot more. Because 018 felt painful to me. Do I need it to connect both groups? No, but I
Your
also,
corner's alive.
yeah, I know that.
So if your corner is alive, what is it?
Strong thickness,
Thick. And what do we do with thick stones?
attack.
Yeah, we play away from them, right?
Okay, yeah.
Now White's not alive yet.
hmm
Maybe we should do something about that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's fair. So you're saying playing something over to the left would have been better.
Yeah.
I do
Imagine,
place. I do get something later, but I played it awful at
yeah,
L16.
imagine you get some attack like this.
Mm,
The top might be bad exchanges, but just in your mind,
hmm
think about something like this, something that can really utilize the power of your second line stone, just sort of destroying his position here,
hmm
right? When you cut, you're giving White a safety net out. If at any point White can just play like this and then connect back, White was never in any danger, and you pick up a couple points, but in general, it's very small. You're already alive,
hmm
right? So you're not really using. And you connected? What?
Well, he still always had that variation you showed. But yeah, I see now. I should have just kept cutting on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you have to play a little bit more actively here. You can't afford to play so many slow moves in a row. Like this type of move is what I see when players, like typically around, high SDK, low down, are like absolutely certain that they're gonna win and there's nothing their opponent can do about it. But count the points.
Right.
Like actually count the territory.
Let me do ask you. So, am I thinking of it right? If White
Mhm.
played S12, I'd have to respond, right? And then he could kill that S11 move. Isn't that true?
No, this is not Sante.
Okay, yeah, I'm
You're
misreading it
alive in the
then.
corner. What life and death is this threatening against you?
Right, I see.
Right? So this is just endgame as far as
Yeah,
he's concerned.
gotcha.
Any threat that it has is whatever it carries against this group and by or that stone and by extension the group attached to it.
hmm
But
And
if that
I,
was a concern, you would just Nobi. You'd give up the one stone and call it a loss and then play some Sente elsewhere for endgame. Maybe cut or something. I don't know.
okay.
But that Atari isn't Sente. If it is, he should take it now.
Yeah, I thought he should, but I guess clearly I'm wrong.
Like here, just count some of the territory, right? So probably white's gonna get this. Maybe not these two. I give white 4 points for that. And then Comey, I'm assuming he had Comey.
Yeah, 6.5.
It can't be counted. That can be counted. Those can be counted. That can be counted. That can be counted. That can be counted. This. And then that. Where are we at in terms of points right now?
Let's see.
13, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27, 28, 30, 32, 34, 35, 36, 38, 40, 42, 44 points for black. And white's at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 6, 10, 20, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 55, plus call me. So 61 and a half for white.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty much there too. White. Yep. So that puts white in
And
the
you're
lead, right?
playing, yeah, 40 something to 61.
Mm.
White's at least 15 points on you, and you're playing this.
Yeah. Well, this I thought was detrimental to killing white.
No, I think in this case it's hard because the problem is white got a benefit here that maybe you didn't consider, which was he got to play F9.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So now he's going to start thinking about how to break it around an 8. That'll be the active defense. You gave him Sente to defend here, but not only defend, but defend in ways where he's going to want to play anyway and make points. It just wasn't active enough. Now he chose to play a big move on the left side. That's fine. If you're going to attack to kill it, you have to go after it now.
That's what I went for, but it was poor. Max commented it should have been K15. He liked that better. But this is interesting.
K15 is also fine, but I think the issue with K15 is white can ignore. Like you can Hane like this, and then white extends, and then you don't have any more ways to break in.
Gotcha.
If you try to push down, white answers by playing the probe and then cuts. And then if you play the Atari and try to escape in some fashion like this, you always have the inside cut to worry about. And you're cut yourself. And again, you can't go anywhere because white took the stone.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're running into this problem where it's going to be very hard for you to fight that. So I think like attaching here, of course, white can extend, but the follow-up is more severe. Right? So you can also follow up this way. So it's more likely, I think, white's going to answer this, whether white descends or not. Now, if white descends, are you going to Hane?
Well,
probably not, because Hane is not really the right shape there. You might do this one and aim for the Hane, and then if white breaks the Hane, you can cap. And if white doesn't break the Hane and white decides, oh shit, I'm dying, then now this move is natural. But either way, I think you're going to have a much better attachment from the side.
Gotcha.
So, Max, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, my idea was there, but it was wrong execution for sure.
Yeah, well, if you're going to continue, you have to continue.
Yeah.
The idea is you want forcing moves in Sente. So, like, if you can get this exchange, good exchange.
I didn't think you'd answer there, though. Yeah.
Yeah, probably he won't. If I had to guess, he'll just play the Knight's move. And then you Atari. You ignore the attack. Because you're thick. You don't have to do anything. So you can just play the reduction and pretend like you weren't going after the attack at all.
Oh, okay.
Deception.
Yeah.
And then later when you're strong, you can think about pushing cut A and B. Right? If you just blatantly shout to your opponent like an anime villain, I'm gonna attack you with this! Well, then I know what to look for. It's like, oh, I just make sure this never hits me. Cool. Yeah. So now both of you are building here. Notice how it's like mutual building, but that means white is getting better. So you had a chance to cut and get some points in endgame. Atari is an Atari. Yeah, and then he took 017 away. Too weak, too slow. Too weak, too slow. You're behind by almost 20 points, my guy.
That's so funny. I use this, but it so terribly. That exact move.
Mm. Yeah, you can do it now.
Hmm. I think I do
There's
it
no reason
after
to wait.
exchanges.
You didn't need this exchange right now. You could save it.
But I misread this.
Mm. You can play this one.
Oh.
Sometimes you can play this one. You have to read whether he can play like this.
Hmm.
Because if he has a way to resist by Sente, then you can't do this one. Whoops, don't mind those last two. So you're looking for a way to fight, but I don't think there's a way to actually do that here.
Hmm.
Which means in this case you probably have to follow him out
Mm-hmm.
and give this up, and then Hane at
Yeah.
some better opportunity.
Yeah, that's what me and Gabe discussed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
There's
used
also the
to.
possibility of going here.
I see. I was gonna say I'm so used to blindly following the clamp and then threaten the cut that I just went with it. And I totally just messed it up.
Yeah, now it's I think from here it's pretty clear there's not enough points left on the board for black to catch up in this game.
Mm.
You need to make up a deficit that you just don't have enough available territory.
Yeah, yeah. So he won. He won by 10 something, 10 points, maybe 13.
Mm.
Uh, so
Yeah, I'm.
so
I mean,
my infamous question I always ask: what do you think some of the biggest takeaways from this game was? I did learn something new
um,
on the right side in the opening, which was cool.
hmm. I would say if I go back to the if I go back to the beginning of this game, let me see, and we can slowly recap this. Um, so there's not really anything wrong with the Fuseki, just understand the implications of it. In this case, simply you didn't like know the variation. So one of the best pieces of advice that I got was from Inseong at Go Congress. Don't play something if you're not if the result is not clear to you. So if
Hmm.
there's any ambiguity with this attachment, like any variations you haven't studied, or if you don't always have like a backup plan to revert to a known shape or sort of deal with anything, then don't do this one.
Hmm.
Play a different method, like for example P5 or like R5 or S4 or the simple invasion, right?
Hmm.
Do something where the variations are relatively straightforward, clear. You can read them, you can visualize what's going to happen. Um, and then that way you'll never get caught with your pants down, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his
Mm.
early victory here was just a blow on my morale in general. Like I was like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you can expect this, but this isn't always going to be the variation your opponent gives you,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you've got the corner enclosure to match it. Like
Yeah.
this would just be handing a great right side position to black for what benefit exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Like white is looking to seal the top side typically with A, B, or continue expanding towards C. Now white's going to have to deal with possibly losing more points to try to break up the framework, because if A and B don't generate enough capital to catch up with all black's territory, then white can't really play it, you know. And white still needs to finish bottom left Joseki, or black is going to fight with D6 or Atari C7 and take more points. Like you can't always expect your opponent to do the easy variation just because it's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are plenty of variations white could do here. White could extend to get you to jump and then turn. White could do the outside Hane like you saw. Would you know how to answer it if white chose to clamp instead?
Mm, I mean,
Right? Well,
yeah.
like if you can't visualize these if you can't visualize these moves, then it's going to be difficult for you to it's going to be very difficult for you to like be confident that you're going to get a great result here.
Yeah. For me, like I knew this was a good move, but I didn't know how to play it through. And so I figured whether I get it right or wrong, then I can get it reviewed, right? And I know
Mhm.
where I can get better with that. So that was my thinking, even though I knew I was like, this could lead to a lot of complications.
Right. Mm. So in this case, I would say like you got kind of got caught with your pants down, and then
Mm.
just think about like open up your third eye to the whole board, right? Really see what's going on because sure you're playing these moves that are like territory oriented and they're low and they're nice, but you know you do leave weaknesses when you play this way, and you need to develop like sort of a better understanding of how those weaknesses interact with what's on the board and you know start covering them up a little bit more. Like here, recognize you have enough points. You can use that to your advantage by removing his control next. Like this move isn't going to necessarily lose you any of the territory you've gained, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just opens the door for there to be a complication on the right side that white can attempt to start.
Yeah, yeah. And I knew N3 was like a thing.
Mm. Yeah, and you already know you have ways into the bottom, right? So allowing him to continue having good forcing moves from the center of the board, I think, is a little bit naive on Black's part.
Mm.
And then that was big, but no follow up. And then from this point, yeah, just not a great exchange. And then even though you got an okay result here, you just played a lot of moves this game that were a little too slow.
Mm.
Like K10 was a little
Yeah.
slow, S11 was a little slow, K2 was slow, S12 Connect was slow, right?
Mm-hmm.
J2 was slow. You made a lot of subsequent moves in the game that are very close to passing in terms of what they're worth. Some moves I would argue straight up passing might be better, like S12.
Mm.
And so in those instances, you want to make sure, especially if you're not like actually winning the game, you want to make sure that you're being as active as possible so that you're not hemorrhaging more points,
Yeah.
right? So I'd say those would be my takeaways.
Okay. Any in particular for Gabe?
Um,
Because I know he's gonna really want to watch this.
I'm gonna flame him for the bottom left corner. It worked out for him in this instance,
Mm.
but this is not what we do with thickness, Gabe. I do like that he tried this move. I'm a fan that he try. I am a fan of him trying this one, but this one, not working, Chief. Need to keep consistency. Either clap this one, press this one, do something,
R10.
but you need to also work against this target in an effective way. If you're just building points with thickness, your thickness is useless. Don't push black away from the wall. You need to make your wall useful. And also here, he really needs to get back to B. This is huge. If he takes away B, then black needs to either secure two eyes now, or black is going to be running.
Mm-hmm.
So he just needs to be a little bit careful of that. Because he was, I think AI said he was ahead pretty much all game, but like that's the type of ahead where any player that was maybe a little bit better than the level you guys were playing at would be able to take advantage of a lot of these weaknesses.
Mm.
Like you put this game in the hands of a Don level player as Black, I think Black still has great chances to win from here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for example, if Black played this move, what was his plan?
Mm.
Right, counterattacking. He needs
Yeah.
to have something, right? Or if Black decided to separate with something like this Hane double Hane, let's say White goes for the Ko, Black plays this move, White captures, Black defends. You know, if White doesn't go back to defend that side, then this move can be lethal, right? You can see there's a lot of different ways Black can take advantage of it.
Mm.
So moves like these can get him in trouble if he's not careful. It's because it's like he's attacking, but Black still has the emergency bailout. The shape is incredibly thin on the whole board. It's trying to take points with thickness,
Yeah.
right?
That's
So,
generally a no-no, right? That's a big
right.
fundamental problem.
Well, it just makes the wall and J3 they're not really efficient.
Mm. Yeah, even with white ahead, I did feel like I was confident that I could turn around. I didn't. but I felt I was.
Hmm. Yeah.
um,
I think up until now, Black still has chances, but I think once White got to fix and got back to M17, and then especially when White got to get back here, I think White had managed to definitely make up any of the initial territory gained Black had.
mhm.
And I think at this point, White's already better in terms of.
Yeah,
So I think if it just moves peacefully into an endgame here, you don't have a chance to win.
right.
So you need to create chances. You need to really look for forcing sequences. You need to really be attuned to the weakness in your opponent's shapes. Like, and you need to do all of that now.
Mm,
Because this is the point. Whenever your opponent settles a really big area territorially like this, it's always a great opportunity. You want to stop and count, and you want to do this frequently in the games because
mhm,
counting is going to be the best tool for judgment. You want to. It's like, okay, who's ahead? Who's got better control? Who's got better territory balance?
mhm. Evaluating
What's
the
the
board.
score difference, right? And you can sort of figure out how to move on the board based on those values. Like if he's just gained more points than you and there's not a lot of territory left on the open board
Mhm,
that you can clearly surround to catch back up, then you know that you need to not worry so much about territory and try to do something severe. Like you need to engineer some attack, some way to really get profit before you go into the oyose, the big end games, right?
mhm.
Because if it just goes to end game, you lose, and that's not good.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I was counting. I knew he was ahead. My target was the right, but I didn't attack it properly. Um, that's kind of how it ended.
Yeah.
I think he
Well, it's just it was a
misjudged
little
how we.
just a little soft.
Yeah, yeah. He did good though against me, so he gave
Yeah.
plays well against me. I have troubles facing him.
Yeah, I think it's Gabe can do well in general when he's in the right headspace and applying himself. If he can fix these little details. I mean, I don't have him here to know really what was on his mind. I'm only inferring
Hmm.
what I think was on his mind. But if what I'm thinking is in line with what he was thinking, then that gives him something clear that he can work on. Because he could definitely have handled that better. It's impressive he was able to sort of make up the territory gap, which was fine, right? It ended up working out for him well in the end.
Hmm.
But that's not always going to be the case, right?
Hmm.
And so, how can we get him into a better position from the off? And again, it's relatively speculative because the AI didn't think he was behind at all in the game, right?
Hmm.
But it's not exactly clear to a human. And if he told me, "Yeah, no, I knew I was for sure ahead the entire time," I'd call bullshit,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like because it's not one of those kinds of positions where you can just look at it and go, oh, "Yeah, this guy's clearly winning,"
Mm.
right? There was still a game of Go to be played. Um, so yeah, that would be what I would say.
All right. Well, thank you, Raven. I gotta get moving myself.
Hmm.
My buddy
Yeah.
from America is visiting. He's waiting for me.
Nice. Is that the one that was planning to live with you in the Philippines?
Yeah, yeah. So he's got an entourage. We're gonna get some lunch.
Hmm.
But thanks again for the review. I'm gonna review it myself. I'll get it on YouTube so Strugglebus can check it out, and
Yeah.
we both appreciate it.
Yeah. Not a problem, man. Take care.
All right, take it easy.